الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله ورحمة الله وبركاته. How does Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, how do they treat the issue of fitna, the civil war that occurred between the Sahaba? So historically, there are four fitna, there are four civil wars that are recorded among the Muslims. But the first one, and which is the most important one, and that is very sensitive and affect our Iman, our Islam directly, is the one that has to do with the Sahaba. So that is why it received a special position and is treated specially in the Islamic history and in the books of the scholars. So here Sheikh, he says the position of Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah about what happened between Sahaba with regard to the fitna and the qital. That is the first fitna. So, and that is the first civil war. So here Sheikh mentioned the war where he said, Fima hadatha bayna Sahaba. So the use of the word hadatha is actually the most correct opinion of few, because that was the first word that was used. Because even the usage of the word can imply and can also incriminate somebody. So because we are actually talking about war, we are talking about civil war, we are talking about fighting, we are talking about hostility between Sahaba. And now if you want to address it, or if you want to talk about it, the usage of the word or the right choice of the word is actually matters. It matters a lot. That is why the scholar in most of their books, they use three words commonly. The first one they use is the word adatha. Sometimes they use the word waqa'a, and sometimes they use the word shajara. So in most of the book you say Fima shajara bayna Sahaba. Sometimes they will say Fima hadatha bayna Sahaba. Sometimes they say Fima waqa'a. So but the most used one, and that is the word shajara. And that one it gained popularity and usage, especially after the 4th century. Especially during the time of Ibn Taymiyyah, from that time up to this time. So it has been used more than 150 times in most of the books. But the word adatha was the first one that was used. And it is recorded by one of the prominent Islamic historian, that is Ibn Ishaq, who was in the 2nd century of Islamic history. So he used the word adatha, and that seems to be the one the Sheikh is using here in the word, in his book. Like you have said, when you say hadatha, waqa'a, or shajara, so you're actually talking about what transpired, what happened. So if you use another word, it may actually implicate them. Like if you say the war that happened between them, or the fighting that happened between them, or hostility. So when we talk about hostility, it's most of somebody being just and somebody being unjust. It's more of somebody being correct on the right, and the other one being what? Being wrong. So, and it's not possible for two people to be fighting and the two of them will be right at the same time. But the case of the Sahaba is different, because the principle with which we deal with this issue is what we call the principle of al-isma, that is sanctity. So the sanctity of Sahaba has to be protected. And based on this principle, the scholars, they divide it into 4 categories. So when we want to talk about the sanctity, so they say the sanctity or the isma can be classified, or the issue that has to do with the shajara or hadatha bayna Sahaba, it has to be treated, or it has to be looked in 4 ways. The first thing is what is called al-ismatu al-dhatiyya. Ismatu Zatiyya, that one is a fundamental sanctity, and that is only for the prophets and messenger of Allah. So the only people that have the Ismatu Zatiyya, that is by their being. So the moment you become a prophet or a messenger, so by default, you have Ism of Allah. You are protected from sinning, you are protected from committing atrocity, you are protected from committing common mistakes, except special mistake. So in other words, Ismatu Zatiyya, it belongs to what? Prophets. So by the Sahaba, they don't have the Ismatu Zatiyya. And because of this similar or this particularity, so they have chances or mistake of falling into error. So there are chances of them falling into what? Into error. And that is exactly what happened among the Sahaba. Since they don't have what? Ismatu Zatiyya. And the Isma of Sahaba actually have two categories. The first Isma is Ismatu al-Wasfiyya. So Ismatu Wasfiyya is regarded as a collective sanctity. So all the Sahaba, all of them as a whole, so they have what is called sanctity, honor, and which nobody should tamper with it. Nobody should violate it. When they say somebody is a Sahaba of Prophet, we defined it last week and also yesterday, that a Sahaba is man laqiya nabiyya wa huwa mu'minu wa mata ala al-Islam. So anybody that have this quality, automatically it will enter or it fall into the category of people that have Ismatul Wasfiyya. That is collective sanctity. So collectively, anybody we call Sahaba, they are supposed to be honored, to be referred to people who are been protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So look at the way Allah described them in many places. And that does not mean they did not make mistake or they did not commit error or sometimes make mistake or sometimes commit sin. That's not the meaning. But the meaning is that Allah has forgiven them and Allah has mentioned that He is pleased with them. Like we mentioned yesterday. Allah said, وَسَابِقُونَ الْأَوَّلُونَ مِنَ الْمُهَاجِرِينَ وَالْأَنصَارِ الَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوهُم بِإِحْسَانٍ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ. In another place, Allah says, لَقَدْ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ يُبَايِعُونَكَ تَحْتَ الشَّجَرَةِ مَا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ. So there are many places that Allah commended them, Allah praised them. So for Allah to have praised somebody, that person has special quality, has special place with Allah. So no, even if he commits mistake, even if he commits error, he's still a special human being. There was an incident that happened during the time of Prophet Muhammad. So after when they were in Medina, so Prophet was planning to embark on the journey of Fatih Makkah. So there is one of the Sahaba that learned about this. He was a Muslim. So he learned that a woman was actually traveling from Medina to Makkah. And this man secretly writes a letter and hand it over to this woman to hand it over to his relative in Makkah. The Prophet is coming to attack, to invade, and when he comes, they should exempt him, they should not attack him, they should know that this is this. So before the woman will leave Medina, Jibril came to Prophet and informed him that this is what happened. So our Prophet commanded Ali bin Abi Talib to go to this woman, he described her, and get the letter from her. So the woman pretended as if she did not have. But you know Prophet could not have made mistake because he's talking on what? Divine inspiration. So when the woman observed that the messenger was not joking, that it may lead to something she didn't expect, she has to hand over the letter. So when the letter was taken to the Prophet, Umar was there, some other Sahaba was there. Umar requested that Prophet should permit him to behead and get this woman, this particular person. Then Prophet asked him, have you forgotten that this man was among the people that participated in the Battle of Badr? This man. Of course, what he has done is actually what? It's actually a sin or a crime that may necessitate somebody being executed. So anywhere in a place where we have a sovereignty, so anybody that violates the sovereignty of a state or that exposes the state, so the judgment is what? Is execution. It's for the person to be executed. So this is the case of this man. Prophet informed Umar, even though that is supposed to be the judgment, but he participated in Battle of Badr. And on the day of Battle of Badr, Allah looked down on everybody that participated in about 313 of the Sahaba. Allah said, I have forgiven all of you. The same way Allah said He has forgiven Prophet Muhammad. So that does not mean they did not have commit mistake, they did not commit error, they have no some impasse. But the matter is, Allah has forgiven them. That's number one. Number two is that even the mistake they commit, they did not commit it out of sinful acts. Not because they want to commit sin, but because of their judgment. We are actually coming to that. So like the issue that happened between Ali and Muawiyah, and the one that happened between Ali and our mother Aisha. So all of them, like we said, two persons cannot be right when there is fighting. One will be right, the other will be wrong. But the two are not right, one is wrong, but the two are actually making ijtihad. The two are actually, they exercising ijtihad. But one ijtihad is correct and the other one is what? And what is the prophetic tradition on this? When somebody is making ijtihad, he said, when somebody judge and he made a correct judgment, he's going to have two rewards. And when somebody pass a judgment and he made a mistake in his judgment, he's going to have one reward. So now, if they have done it out of ijtihad, that is not out of self-desire, and they make mistake, they are still going to be rewarded by Allah. And Allah has described them as what? People who is pleased with, He has forgiven. So even though there are issues that happen among them, so that does not make give us the freedom to talk about them or to have to violate their sanctity, like we have said. They have what is called al-ismatu al-wasfiyya. That is collective sanctity. Or everybody becomes Sahaba. That is why all of them are referred to as Udul. So when this is being related, and when it reaches the Sahaba, you don't find out about their what? Their adala, or their what? Or their righteousness. You don't find out. But people below them, you have to find out. But when it reaches the issue of Sahaba, there's nothing like what? At-tajri. You don't need to do general at-tajri about them. Because all of them are referred to what? Adala. So they have adala. And why do they have that? Because Allah Himself has confirmed it, even Prophet himself has confirmed it. He said you should not insult them, you should not condemn them. They don't lie. They don't intentionally lie against Prophet when he was alive, even when after his death. So apart from the al-ismatul wasfiyya, there's another principle that guides the way we deal about what happened about them. And that is what is called al-barahatu al-asliyya. Bara'atul Asliya. So Bara'atul Asliya actually refers to individual sanctity. In other words, individually the Sahaba by default, we presume them to be what? To be doing correct thing. That is the presumption. So just like every Muslim, especially when the society is normal, when the society is operating on Islamic principle and the atmosphere is such that everybody is behaving in the right manner, then when you meet a person, average human being or average Muslim, you assume is what? Is free from wrong. And that is the same thing we do with Sahaba. But not with this our own society. Our society is so corrupt that people don't even bother to understand, to learn about Islam. Our society is so decayed that the decadence is beyond imagination. So in most cases, though like we have said, when you see a Muslim, you presume that he's a what? He's a righteous person. But this society of ours is very dangerous that if you make such presumption, you may have to regret it later. That is the situation we find ourselves. And that is the reality. We don't have to deceive ourselves. Even though that's our Muslim, but that is when Muslims are doing the correct thing. That is when they are following the law and instruction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when the reverse becomes the case, then we also have to treat the matter appropriately. So like we have said, the Sahaba, they have what is called Bara'atu al-Asliya. That is individual sanctity. So we presume them to be free or to be righteous. So whenever you hear a Sahaba, that this person is a Sahaba of Prophet, so we presume that they are what? They are righteous. And of course they are righteous. We just mentioned the verses where Allah has praised them. They are uncountable. Surah Al-Fatih, Muhammadur Rasulullah, وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ
أَشِدَّاءُ عَلَى الْكُفَّارِ
وَمَا بَيْنَهُمْ. So this is Sahaba Allah is describing. So Allah is describing in many places. Allah says He is pleased with them. Allah says He has forgiven them. Allah says they are going to be admitted to Jannah. He has prepared Jannah for them. Who have that certainty to say Jannah is for me. But for them, Jannah is certain because Allah mentioned it in the Quran. So we presume all the Sahaba, they are what? That is, the meaning of this statement or the implication of this principle we just mentioned is that even when you hear or you learn or you read that a Sahaba did something wrong, you will not assume that he did it because he want to what? He want to commit sin. He did it out of a sinful act. You will not assume. What you assume is that what? It was a mistake. So a Sahaba can make a mistake and commit sin. In Surah Al-Imran, so Allah says, وَسَارِهُمْ إِلَّا مَغْفِرَةٍ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ وَجَنَّاتٍ
وعيد السماء
الذين ينفقون في السراء والضراء
والكاسمين الغيظ
والعافين عن الناس
والله يحب المحسنين
والذين إذا فعلوا
فاحشة أو ظلموا أنفسهم ذكروا الله.
So that singular verse, when Allah says الذين إذا فعلوا فاحشة أو ظلموا أنفسهم, it was actually an incident that happened to a Sahaba. But when he fall into that sin, to that error, immediately he remember Allah, he sought forgiveness, he was forgiven. Look at the word Allah is praising him. And how did that verse started? What started that verse? What started that verse? What happened? What follows it? Jannah is prepared for what? For those people. That even though they commit sin, but you should not delay in seeking for forgiveness. Then when that is done, Jannah is ready for you. Jannah is prepared for you. And this is then that happened to the Sahaba. So what we are actually saying is that even when we hear or we read or we learn that the Sahaba made this mistake, we don't treat it as other people's mistake. We don't assume they intend to commit error or to violate the law of Allah. No, we don't assume so. Why? Because they have what? They have a presumption of what? Of being righteous. We have to presume that they are righteous on the individual level. Collectively, they have isma. Like we have evidence for it in the Quran and this. Prophet Sallallahu in one of his statements, he said, "Khayrun nas qarni, thumma ladina, thumma ladina." So he said the best set of generation is mine. So if they are the best generation, so if they commit sin, can we still compare it to our own? When they say somebody is the best, and you are still comparing him to yourself, are you making any sense? You are not making sense. Even Allah said, "Kuntu khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar." So Allah is referring to the Sahaba as well, and also those who follow them. وَالَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوهُمْ بِالْإِحْسَانِ. So if you emulate them, do what they do. Something that is wrong. That is why Allah says, Allah la yanzuru ila ajsamikum wa la ila suwarikum wa la yanzuru ila a'malikum. So which means the state of your heart when you are committing what matters most to Allah. And this is the Sahaba Allah has told us about what is. Look at that Allah says, wa ajma ma bi qulubi what? What is the verse saying? Don't you see of your heart. Yes, even the mistake at that point, they don't intend to do that because the heart was clean. Look at where Allah also describes it's not that wrong. But Allah Babena what? Allah said, unite their heart, make them to live peacefully, they love one another. When they observe that with their brother in Islam, in the ashik, they prefer the ashik to come to the extent and way that we find it faulting them, the way that we censoring them. So we only talk about them in order to what? In order to learn about our history. Because if we don't learn it, there are some criminals who are learning it, and their intention of learning it is to what? Islam. So if you don't know it and you don't understand it, when you see such kind of attack, how will you respond? How will you handle such case? Wallahi, there are many books. In fact, there are encyclopedias on this same issue we are treating. And the matter is just to want to condemn them. And immediately you condemn Sahaba, you finish Islam. Allah says, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً لِتَكُونُوا وَيَكُونُ رَسُولًا. So the Sahaba, they are the ones that saw prophets, even though prophet was the one Allah sent. Did we see him? So if the Sahaba have not diligently and carefully transmitted what they have learned from prophet to us, do you think the message is still good? Not only that, during the life of Rasulullah, they experienced a lot of difficulty just because of Islam. We talk about people like Abdul, the house of Yasir, Sumaya. These are Sahaba that experienced difficulty. Some in the hand of the enemy of Muslims. Some out of the situation and circumstance they found themselves. So these same people, so this same category of people, they are the ones some people think it is right for them to insult, to condemn. So what we are saying is that we have to learn about it the way we are learning. We have to read and understand it. But when you are learning, when you are reading, your state of mind should be to learn. You should never assume or think about anything wrong with them. Even though there are some issues that we actually have to look about, maybe when you will look at the story critically, because the story has to be taught, to be learned. Because this issue that of the fitna and the qital that happen between them actually leads to most of the problem we are having in the world today. So, in the world today, we heard about Khawarij, the secessionists. So, this is the origin of Khawarij. It was the fitna that started right from the time of Uthman bin Affan. So, it was actually the plan of the enemy of Islam that incited the Muslims, innocent ones, against the government of Uthman. And it reached a point that he was assassinated. And this leads to what? It leads to a problem between Ali ibn Abi Talib and what? Muawiyah. Muawiyah was a governor in Syria and he was a kinsman of Uthman. So Muawiyah was requesting for what? For justice to be done to his kinsman who was assassinated. Ali said, this is going to be done, but we need to stabilize the society first. So he said, no, the justice has to come first. So this leads to misunderstanding between them. So he has people who follow them, Ali has followers, Muawiyah also has what? So this leads to what? So like we have just said, it was a matter of ijtihad. This one see that this is the best thing to be done by his own ijtihad. The other one see that this is the best thing to be done by his own what? So it leads to problem. And from here we have a group of people that emerge, they continue to emerge. If we hear about Khawarij today, this is when it starts. That is when it starts. If you hear about Ashia today, that is when it starts. Then Shia was a political terminology. It does not have any theological implication. It does not have any creed. Their stand was not attached to any creed. It was later creed started to be attached to. Because literally the word Shia means what? Followers or party. So Ali has party who follow him on his stance. Muawiyah has who follow him on his what? And they call him, those who follow Ali are those Shias what? And they follow people who follow what is his name? Muawiyah Shia what? Muawiyah bin Sufyan. Later it transformed into what we have today as a distinct sect in Islam. But it was not originally like that. Where we have gone is that we learn about them, but when we learn it, we should remember this principle of what? Don't say anything wrong about it. And when we don't say anything wrong about them, so that does not mean that we don't have to read. We read, but the mind with which you read is which what you have just said. And the reason why it is necessary for us to learn it, that same problem we are talking about, it was a convenient entry for the enemy of Islam. And for anybody who does not have knowledge about Islam, he said, you mean the Sahaba behave like this? They even fight war. They even kill themselves. So this happened between them. And they said they are Sahaba of prophets. Wow, this is too bad. And you don't actually know about it. This is how you are condemning. And that your statement, this is too bad, is very simple. You are women. You are making ijtihad. And it is not the first time something will happen in history. So if because of that you have to condemn the Sahaba prophets, what about the generation of prophets that came before him? So similar thing happened among the Banu Israel. It happened to the follower of Prophet Musa. It happened to the follower of Prophet Isa. So it wasn't the first time. So why didn't we use it against them? And this is a situation where each person was trying to do what he or she thinks is the what? Is the right thing, like you have just said. So in other words, so when we learn about the Sahaba, what happened among them, so we don't learn it in a way to condemn or to censor them, but what to learn, understand, and also to fight enemy of Islam. When we say fight, we actually don't mean violence, but to what? With intellectual debate. Because if you don't know, there is no way you will defend it. So there are some people who have lost through these same means we are talking about. There are some people who see this as a launch pad to attack Islam. Some people pretend to be Muslim, but today they condemn Abu Bakr, they condemn Umar, they condemn Aisha, they condemn Hafsa, they condemn Abu Hurairah. Like I said, if you condemn Abu Hurairah, you have condemned Islam. Yes, you have condemned Islam. Abu Hurairah alone, he reported about 6,000 hadith. Only Abu Hurairah is the one that reported the highest number of hadith. So now if you condemn it, which means all the hadith, you have to condemn it. And condemning his hadith means even you have problem in understanding some of the verses of the Quran. So which means anybody who is fighting Sahaba is actually fighting Islam. Anybody who is fighting Abu Hurairah, fighting hadith, is actually fighting Islam. You are fighting Quran. Because the hadith, the speech, and the action of Rasulullah was actually meant to what? To explain. That's the reason why Allah has said it. And the time when Islam was completed, the past is what to Maida, when Allah said, Al-Yawma akmaltu lakum wa atmamtu alaykum, that past announced the time that it announced the death of Prophet Muhammad. That past and the Surah Al-Nasr, they announced the death of Prophet Muhammad. Because Islam is completed, he has no other reason for him to be created except to be delivered to the And as soon as the message was delivered, Allah sent Jibreel to him. Allah sent an angel of death, a company of Jibreel to him. Go and ask him, do you intend to? No, it is time for you to die. You have this number of days. Unlike we that we don't know the time, but the prophet and the message of Allah, in most cases Allah informed them. So some of them, Allah even asked them, do you still want to live now, or you want to continue until the end of time? Allah gives Prophet Muhammad that choice. Allah sent the angel of death. And so when the angel of death was coming, he has to stay outside. Jibreel was used to him. He has to seek permission from Prophet before he entered. If it is you and I. So the angel of death, does he need to take permission? Angel of death went to Prophet Musa in order to take his life. Prophet Musa gave him slap and he removed one of his eyes. I know that story sounds untrue. Yes, but it is a true story. It is a true story. It happened. It is reported in the hadith of Prophet Sallallahu. And you just have to believe that it is true. This is a Sahih hadith. Even if it sounds to you as if it was, it's a reality. And the reason why it may sound untrue to you is because you use your situation and your circumstance to judge this story. You know, like he said, the prophet of Allah, messenger, wallahi, they are superwoman. Just imagine anything you think about. Prophet Musa, two people are fighting in Egypt, Misra, when he was there. And Azami Shiati Wazami. So the other one in Shiati, he called Musa to come and Pastor God will let him in Shiati, Allah led him. So he invited him to come and assist him. Prophet Musa wants to tell him that, why are you troublesome? Why are you? He just eat him by his stick. and because of the strength of Prophet Musa, he died. So it is, the strength is actually different. If their strength, like the strength of Prophet Musa, just his own alone, his own power, his own strength. So some of the scholars they say it's equivalent to the strength of 10 people. And me, I may not agree with that statement. Do you know why they say it is equivalent to the strength of 10 people? When Musa, that same incident happened. So the similar thing happened the following day. He invited him and Musa said, you are trouble. So every day you have to be fighting and be inviting me. No. So when Prophet Musa was approaching me, he thought Prophet Musa will actually eat him. He said, Aturidu Abdulani. Oh, you want to kill me the same way you came? And when the other person died, nobody knows. It was not a case. But this same person who was assisted, he exposed Prophet Musa. So that is how everybody knew that, okay, you are the one that killed him. So Pharaoh invited his council. They were doing meeting, and their meeting was that we are going to kill Musa. Then somebody from Asante who was there, he came to him. يَأْتَمِرُونَ بِكَ فَاخْرُجِ إِنِّي لَكَ مِنَ الْوَدِ. I'm advising. So when Musa was going out, when he reached Madian, so when he reached the Mahal Madian, that is the well of Madian, he met some people. The way I'm going in that story is that there's a particular stone they normally use to cover that well. So they said, usually or habitually or traditionally, 10 people carry that. 10 people what? Carry that. So but when Musa went to carry it, he alone carried it. So from there they said his strength was equivalent to strength of 10 people. But that cannot actually be a fact. It may be true, but not maybe true. What I'm saying is that the fact that you see 10 out of my strength does not mean my strength. So it does not mean his strength is limited to what? So there was one day Musa delivered Musa.
I have a question regarding Sahaba. If it's happen like we have someone maybe our meeting or people our house who is talking or if it's talking bad side of Sahaba, how can we make this way?
When somebody makes mistake, whether with the case of the Torah or any other matter in the religion, so the first line of action is that you have to recognize, you have to so, but if how this is done, and this is because it is not Sahaba and it is the right, and you are told and corrected and evidence, then you don't have it. You understand? Because it's a critical issue, that's the matter. That is why it's being sent to the government. That is why it's something that is very, very critical. So somebody
ulama.
so, which means that's the basis of knowledge, something that will increase your knowledge, your taqwa, you understand? So you have to explain to the person, maybe the person see it, or the person still fight you or fight Sahaba, so it means the person has to be treated with hostility. That's it. Anybody that fights Sahaba, you are fighting Islam. So and you fight Islam, you are fighting me also. That's the purpose of my creation. So may Allah protect us.
Like now, if husband and wife they fight, and that fight lead to talaq, so how many idda did that girl or that woman she's going to use before they depart?
Well, this question is a bit complex. The reason why I say it's complex is that you say when people are fighting and it leads to talaq, which means he declared the wife divorce because of fighting or misunderstanding. But in Islam, that is not what's supposed to be talaq. Talaq is not actually supposed to be done out of fight or out of violence or out of problems, out of marital issues. It's supposed to be out of incompatibility or unresolvable problem. You understand? That is why if somebody issue talaq out of his sense, out of anger, so that talaq has question mark. Because whatever after some time you now come back to his sense that that's not what I wanted to say. It was because I was angry. You understand? So talaq is supposed to be done in a situation whereby everybody understands what they are saying and there's no problem. And another thing is that don't joke with talaq and you don't play with it. Just like marriage. If you say, I give my daughter to you in marriage, she don't become wife with that. The only time she will not become married, wife, if I say I don't accept. If I say accept, wife don't be. You understand? You don't joke that. I was joking. There's no joking like with that. And the same thing to talaq, that you have been divorced. And later when I joke, no, it will hold. And when the talaq has been declared and it's talaq that will hold, so if it is the first time, so that person is supposed to do it for three times, like it is mentioned in the Surah Al-Baqarah. Three Puruhu has been interpreted in different way by the Sahaba. Some say it is the height, some say it is the tuhur, is the cleaning when she cleans herself from whatever. Approximately is 3 months. But Allah also mentioned about those people who have not started height, or those who have stopped height in Surah Al-Talaq. No, those who have not started height, or those who those who have lost hope of being of no height. So they will observe what 3 months. So approximately 3 months. And that 3 months, if the husband did not think about taking that wife back within that 3 months, if finally at the end of the 3 months the woman completed that iddah, it means he cannot take back that wife. He cannot take her back. So if she is still interested in the man, I mean in the woman, or the woman is still interested in the man, so one thing will happen. That woman will be married by another man, and that other man will divorce her, and she will observe 3 kuru, just like she did. And after she is divorced, then if you are still interested, you can still go back to her. So there was a particular event that used to happen during the time of Jahiliyyah. So that you know, Shaitan used to deceive us. Like out of anger, you say, and I love her, I don't want to divorce her. Or the woman will say, I love my husband, I want to go back to her. You understand? So what they will do now is that they will now go and arrange with another person. I mean, go and marry that woman. And after you marry her, I'm going to pay you off. Just divorce her so that we have right to. So they call those people Muhallil wa Muhallal. So Prophet in one they said La'ana Allahul Mu'allil wal Mu'allil. So because of Allah, you don't do that, it is forbidden. And if you do that and marry that wife again, you are actually committing sin against Allah. So that talaq, they call it talaq raj'i, that is you can take the wife back. So but if within that 3 months you go back to her and say, well, let's forget what has happened. So you can take her back without any formal ceremony. But if she completed that thing, that is what is going to happen. And if you take her back within that 3 months, then you have maximum of 1 more time to say you divorce her. So if you do it second time, the third time, whether she used 3 months or she don't use 3 months, she has been divorced and you can never take her back again. It is binding. So if you alter it the third time, say you have to anti-toilet, then you can never take, whether she complete the 3 months or not, you can take her back. So that is the principle of talaq in Islam.
Now, in the absence of no more question, inshallah, stop here for today and continue next week. We ask Almighty Allah to grant us better understanding of our religion, forgive our shortcomings, and bless us in this world and hereafter. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.